Hi everyone, welcome to today's lesson. My name is Amy from Plastic Cover Schools, and today we're going to be combining English and science as we look at plastic cover English and carbon literacy. We're going to explore how our world is changing and what we can do to help. Now let's start with a warm-up. First, look at these images on the screen. The smoke, the car, the tree, and the drink. I want you to turn to the person next to you or just think quietly to yourself, what do all of these things have in common? And in particular, is there a specific gas that links them all together? Pause the video now to discuss. Did you guess it? The answer is carbon dioxide, or CO2. CO2 is a gas. We breathe it out and trees take it in. It's in smoke, it's in the bubbles in your fizzy drink, and it comes out of car exhausts. But why are we talking about gas? Well, it all has to do with the climate crisis. Climate change is a change in weather conditions that we experience over a long period of time. This isn't just a rainy day, it's a long-term shift. And it's caused by an increase in the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Now, there are lots of different greenhouse gases, but the main ones that are contributing to climate change are carbon dioxide, CO2, which we already mentioned, and is responsible for most of the global warming that we're experiencing, because humans are releasing lots of it into the atmosphere. And once in the atmosphere, CO2 stays there for hundreds of years. The second is methane, or CH4. Methane is responsible for around 30% of global warming. It's much more potent than CO2, meaning it absorbs more heat that warms up the planet at a faster rate. However, methane only lasts in the atmosphere for around 12 years. The third is nitrous oxide, or N2O. Nitrous oxide has 300 times the impact on warming the planet compared to carbon dioxide, but there is a smaller concentration of it in the atmosphere. The biggest source of nitrous oxide is actually agriculture, in particular animal waste and fertilizers that are put on fields. And finally, F gases, fluorinated gases. Humans are the only source of fluorinated gases, which are the most potent and long-lasting of all the greenhouse gases. Even a small amount of fluorinated gas can have a big impact on the climate. The increasing amount of these greenhouse gases in the atmosphere is causing the global average temperature to rise. This is calculated by combining the temperature of lots of different places on Earth, and it's already risen by over 1 degree in the last couple of hundred years, which might not sound like a lot, but actually has quite a big impact on our planet. Now, you might think that these gases on screen are bad because of the impact that they're having on climate change, but they're actually really important. In fact, we couldn't live without them. These greenhouse gases make up just 0.03% of the atmosphere, so a tiny amount, but they play a really big role in trapping heat from the sun. Without them, Earth would be freezing cold, around minus 18 degrees C. However, if the greenhouse gases build up in the atmosphere to a level that's too high, too much heat is trapped and the Earth warms up too much. This is what's causing the current climate crisis. And this brings us to a surprising fact. Did you know that plastic has a big impact on climate change? 99% of plastic's material base is made of fossil fuels, the ones that release these greenhouse gases when burned. So when we use plastic, we're actually contributing to this climate change problem. But obviously, there's loads of sources of greenhouse gases alongside plastic. So how can we keep track of what we're doing that has an impact on the environment? This leads us to the concept of a footprint. Now, imagine that you're walking on wet sand. If you look behind you, you'll see that you've left footprints behind. Well, a carbon footprint is the mark that your daily activities leave on the planet. Every time we use energy or travel or eat certain foods, we're releasing greenhouse gases that impact the Earth. Some actions have a bigger impact than others. So let's do a think, pair, share. I want you to discuss, what activities do you think have the biggest carbon footprint? Is it flying, eating meat, driving, having the heating on too high? Pause this video now and discuss. Great job, everyone! You're now going to be split into smaller groups and given a large paper footprint. First, I want you to grab some sticky notes. Write down or draw activities that you do every day onto the notes. Or alternatively, if your teacher has given you some of the action cards you can see on screen, you can use those instead of writing your own. Once you have your activities ready, work together to sort the notes onto the carbon footprint in two sections, high carbon and low carbon. For year 5 or 6 students watching, I also have an extra challenge for you. Don't just sort these, actually discuss why some of these activities are high carbon compared to others and what the reasons might be for this. Okay, pause the video now to build your carbon footprints. Great work sorting those. It's interesting to see how many of our daily habits end up in the high carbon section, isn't it? Now let's look for solutions. I want your group to choose 2 or 3 of your activities from the footprint, and your task is to put your thinking caps on and come up with some planet-friendly alternatives. For example, instead of driving to school, you could try walking or scootering or cycling. Instead of having a long hot shower or bath, you could take shorter showers. And instead of throwing away food, you could try and save leftovers. Pause the video now to think and discuss. Well done, everyone. It's difficult to come up with alternatives when you're so used to doing something a certain way, but you've made a great start at being more sustainable. Now, it's important to remember that these small actions alone, and you alone, aren't responsible for stopping climate change altogether. That takes large action by governments and companies producing lots of emissions themselves. But looking at your carbon footprint or at your schools is an easier, accessible way to start. And lots of people like you guys working together can make a really big difference. Good job, everyone, and see you soon for another Plastic Clever lesson.